right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Breaker Bros. And we're instantly reacting to the 34-14 victory over the Colts. And just like we predicted, the Bengals would score 34 points back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. I feel like Jake Browning's making it rain.
Yeah, no, it's kind of felt like how I thought he was going to play initially, but did I think they were going to score 34 points 2 weeks in a row? No. I thought maybe the Colts would be a bit more like they would maybe play a little bit better defensively, but it just overall it seemed like we were pretty dominant. And if you just take out that pick six, which was kind of like a fluke play, like it's even more of a lopsided game.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like this week where the defense actually stepped up. I don't think they gave up too many big plays. I mean, there was just that one drive, but it was more or less in the garbage time because I think we were already up a few touchdowns. It just seemed like we are just kind of giving them everything up front. But
Yeah.
they ended up throwing up that weird pick. But what was your initial thoughts about the game?
I'm shocked. I mean, I didn't think they had that in them. So
no, all I could think about is just every time we hit a big play, it was like, man, you're right. Maybe we waited too long to play
Chase Brown.
But yeah, he's definitely the spark that we needed to kind of keep things going, or to at least keep the defense honest in certain situations. But I mean, you can just tell when he's on the field, he's probably the fastest guy on the field, or at least when he's running it against the defenders. It's not like going against cornerbacks or anything, but he's clearly like outrunning people, which is nice to see.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm trying to figure out how I forgot to share my screen.
I think you got to go.
Yeah, I figured it out. I got it. And also share audio. Click share. All right. That's what was throwing me off.
Is there anything you want to show?
No, I just wanted to get the sounds to work.
Okay, I gotcha.
Brother.
I see what I got to do. All right, hold on. Boom. Now we're good.
All right.
I like this view a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. How do I change my headline?
I think you just got to click on your name and hit edit.
Click on my name, hit edit.
There's like the little dial.
Edit name? No. Whoa. I'm full screen.
Yeah, I guess while you're working on that, the thing that I could think about the most that really, I guess, solidified the game was when we went for, I think it was like 4th and 1 late in the third. And then we converted.
Yeah.
I think that was the difference between going up, I guess, potentially by 10 points versus 14.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in the second half, the Colts looked pretty dead. It didn't seem like they could do anything.
No, it's just it was just dominant. I mean, they were running the ball, and I mean, I fully believe that all of those. Well, no, I fully believe that like running the ball is like like to me the analogy is to boxing where body blows kind of thing, and like if you run the ball enough, you take a little bit of the ability of the defense to resist you and rush after the passer, and I think it really played into the Bengals' favor that, I mean, obviously played into their favor that they got all those extra downs on one of those goal to go series. But I really think the thing that helped was their ability to just keep hammering the ball up the middle and attack the defense that way. Oh. I guess we're still live, even though Josh's power's out. So I guess I'll have to wait for him. But so running the ball is something that I've been complaining about in particular. and running the ball with power and making sure that you get enough rushes, not necessarily worrying about rush yards, especially when the Bengals had Burrow, I think was one of the bigger things for the offense was that, yeah, they could score, but they could never possess the ball. And the defense always seemed fresh and always seemed able to rush the passer. So we would get into these situations where everybody put the pressure on Burrow to pull a rabbit out of his hat and play like a magician. And now that Browning's in, the play calling is more like a normal game plan where it's more of a team effort, team football, running the ball, trying to possess the ball so that you keep your defense fresh and you try to wear out the other team's defense and then pick your points to make big plays. I like how they were running a lot of those screens. I think the screens helped a great deal. I mean, obviously because we got a touchdown on one, but even if they didn't score, they were just ways to challenge the pass rush to not necessarily just pin their ears back and sprint to the quarterback, but they have to take their time and make sure that maybe they take just a slight hesitation coming off the ball. I think really plays to the offense's favor, and everything just seemed to come together in this game in terms of play calling. So do another check on Josh, see. Okay, he's rebooting now. So Texas Power, everybody out there. I guess the one thing that we have now with the StreamYard is we have a chat feature where it's more integrated into the screen. And we have the ability to filter it. So if you're watching live on YouTube, please shoot some comments in the live chat, and they should come to us, and we'll be able to put them up on the board and advance the conversation in that way. So aside from the offense play calling and obviously scoring massive amounts of points, the other thing that I think really carried the game was Trey Hendrickson had an amazing game. He just seemed to really be able to get after Uncle Rico in the backfield. So those were kind of like the really complimentary game. I mean, the score was 34-14, but it didn't even seem that close because the Colts really only scored points within like a 30-second time period. The rest of the game went to the Bengals. So are you back?
I think so. That was weird. It just
You like that?
did the stream continue?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It says we've been live for 9 minutes and 12 seconds. I've been
That's
talking.
cool. I think because that makes sense because since you were still in the studio while we were going, I guess it never really stopped.
Yeah. I mean, can you
That's
still
nice.
can you hear my sound?
Do it one more time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's
So-
nice. I like that.
Nice. They're nice.
But yeah. Now I was I thought it'd be a little bit closer of a battle just because
Yeah. What
this
was
game
the final score? I said it was 34-14. Is that accurate?
14. Yeah, 34.
So it was a 20-point spread, but really it was not even that close, which is just an utter shock.
Yeah, it
The cream of the crop.
seemed closer than what it really was because they got that pick six. Like I said, to me, it was a bit of a fluky play. I felt like he should have just knocked it down.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame him for trying to make the play, but at the same time, it was just like it seemed like the pass was where it needed to be because it was in between all the defenders. I don't know if he got out of his break a little bit late or whatever, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, it was just one of those really weird plays where he kind of holds the ball up, basically hands it off to the defender, and he runs it for like 34 yards for a touchdown. So, yeah, you take that play out, it's like
Yeah.
not even a close game at all, which
Right.
is crazy. And it felt like the defense played really well. It just it kind of reminded me of the first game of the season against the Browns before like the wheels fell off. It's just they were causing like a lot of 3 and outs and a lot of punts and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's like we wanted
Yeah.
the
One other thing I talked about while you're trying to get your power back on was Trey Hendrickson. Like,
yeah,
how about that game?
yeah,
Take that.
he started off with a sack, right? I think the
Yeah.
first defensive play they got a sack, and it just basically set the tone. He did have that silly passer roughing the passer call. I mean, he definitely hit the quarterback a bit late.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know
all
if
right.
it's enough to call it a foul, but that
Yeah.
basically led to their only really touchdown drive. You take that out, yeah, you take out that penalty and that pick six, and it's like, did they even score? It didn't feel like in that game.
No,
I
I didn't
mean,
feel like they were challenging the score at all.
we had that, or they had that drive where it seemed like we were giving up a lot of 10-yard plays, like after we went up the 2 scores, but then we still got that interception. The crazy play by BJ Hill. I feel like for whatever reason, he's got a knack for the ball around the line of scrimmage. I feel like that's like his second or third pick, BJ Hill, which is really interesting. But yeah, I think right before I got cut off, for me, the play where I was kind of like hesitant about when they went on 4th and 1 on like was it like the 6-yard line or whatever, and it's just like if this was 5 years ago, maybe even less than that, like you kick the ball, right? You take the field goal, you go up basically 2 possessions, and then but yeah, they went for it and they almost scored a touchdown on that play too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily agree that like years ago you wouldn't go for it. I like going for it. I mean, especially, the Bengals have to play aggressive. I mean, I guess I remember like Zach Taylor used to be like ridiculous about being aggressive, right? Like they went for like every 4th and 2, regardless of where it was on the field, kind of thing. But for this particular game, I think going for it within 3-4 yards of the end zone is kind of one of those deals where if you don't make it, you put so much pressure on the other team's offense that a lot of times you get the ball back anyways. So I just like trying to score points, or as many points as you can, right? I mean, you're risking the 3 to try to get 7, but then even if you the worst case, well, obviously lots of really bad things can happen on any play in a football game, but if you don't get it in a normal way, like if you try to run it or you throw it in completion, then the other team has the ball really close to the end zone, and that usually makes them more more passive and more risk averse on offense. So I like going for it, especially definitely on this show. I'm or in our universe, right? I'm the hardest person on Joe Mixon, right? And the one thing though that I like is like the way Joe Mixon runs the ball close to the end zone. Um, I just like taking I think that's a good bet to take. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's weird how like finesse the running back position has gotten because like literally throughout Mixon's career, he's like starting out like he wasn't really known being like a physical runner, but I mean in today's NFL, he's like one of the more physical runners now left in the running backs. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, he's probably not the most physical. Like he's not going to be more than the running back from the Titans or whatever. But he's up there in terms of physicality.
yeah,
I mean, I feel like we've been a lot more successful this year, especially when it comes to the short yardage goal line situations.
yeah.
It seems like we're converting them a little bit more. It's like we're getting that little extra push that
Hmm.
we weren't really getting the last year or so. Because I
Well,
just
I
feel like
mean, they're running the ball more overall, and they're running the ball between the tackles a lot. It just seems since Browning has come in, there's been a lot more running up the middle, and even like what look like dive plays to me, where they're literally just going right off the center, between the center of the guard almost. Feels like they've hit quite a few plays of Mixon just running up the middle for like 5 or 6 yards, right? And I think that those 10 extra reps in games where you're calling those plays, I think builds up kind of uh, the ability of the offensive line to make those blocks when you're in the end close to the end zone, goal to go, because they've had that many more reps actually firing off the ball.
Yeah, and just looking at the numbers too, I felt like we had another pretty good day of running it. I mean, the overall averages don't look that great, but we did have a lot of big plays, and I guess some of those plays were more or less they're screen passes. They weren't really runs, but still, it's like Mixon had like a 54-yard or like a 50-yard play. Brown had a 54-yard play or touchdown. Really,
Hmm.
that was I think really that like highlighted his speed. You can just tell from that play like how much he really forces the defenders just to try to keep up with him because like
Hmm.
that last guy just completely whiffed on that touchdown
Hmm.
pass because he was just running so hard just to keep up with him, and all he had to do was just like he just did like a little stutter, and the dude just like slid right past him.
Yeah, I mean, since Jake Browning's come in, the thing that was missing from the offense when Burrow was playing was the big plays coming from the run game, or like you said, screen game. You kind of give credit to that, feels more like a run than it is a pass to me, for sure. So you have the running back position making big plays. I think that it forces the defense to have to pay attention to covering the running backs, and that opens things up on the outside. I mean, I wish that they were calling games like this when Burrow was playing, because
Oh, sorry, I thought about something while you said that.
yeah.
I guess another thing that really stood out to me on that 4th and 1 play,
Hmm.
Joe Mixon and Chase Brown were both on that play.
Yeah.
Mixon lined up as a fullback,
Yeah.
which was really interesting, and he got the ball, and he actually did really well. Like he got 5 yards. He almost got the touchdown off that
Hmm.
one play. So I wonder if they're gonna
Well, he scored on one like that too. Like
where he was
his
a
one
fullback.
year.
I thought it was more of a
Yeah.
pistol. Like
No,
he
he
was
scored
always,
on a fullback play too.
oh, you did? Okay, I thought they ran like the pistol, like which or I know they did the pistol or he was under center Browning,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's I feel like too with Browning they seem to line up more under center. I don't know if that's just mainly because the majority of time that Burrow was in was just dealing with the calf and they were starting to get into that situation. But it seems like since Browning has taken over, we've been running more plays under center, and that could be an emphasis of just them trying to make sure that they don't get away from the run. Because I feel like you have a little bit better of a chance to get more yards if you run under center versus like out of the shotgun, just because the first step of the running back is to the left or right if you're in shotgun instead of you going
Hmm.
forward. And I just feel like there's a lot you lose a lot of those momentum plays. And I think that's part of the reason why our screens are so successful is that it takes a lot for our running backs to get past the first line of defense, like the
Hmm.
defensive lineman. And when you're able just to throw it over the lineman in a screen and you get into the second layer, like the against the linebackers and DBs, like they showed the ability to break tackles and just get down a little bit further. Like especially with Chase Brown, like he's actually running away from people because that 54-yard touchdown was just good play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the plays, right? Like, so you have 29 carries if you take out Jake Browning's carries, but I guess they probably threw at least 3 screen passes. So really, you know,
Yeah, Chase Brown had the most reception yards.
so yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Chase Brown and Joe Mixon's receptions. Of course, I don't know if they threw it to him out of the backfield, like in a true passing play, but in any event, it's, you're only looking to throw the ball aside from a screen like maybe 20 times, and you run the ball 30 times, you know,
They hit 9 different receivers. That's crazy.
I wouldn't say that necessarily like
I guess so
you'd
did
want to run it more than you throw it with Joe Burrow, but like to me, it just shows what happens when you play with better balance and you actually run the ball and wear out the defensive lineman and
Yeah, I think in a
control the
weird
clock.
way, this might actually help for when Joe Burrow comes back, at least for Zach Taylor and the way he's calling plays, because I feel like this is the right balance. Like
Yeah, something
And
like this is more towards the right balance. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if you would say you would want to run it more than you throw it with Joe Burrow, but then
no, no,
again,
no.
maybe you would because really they ran the ball a lot of their carries were at the end of the game when the game was over, right? So, maybe it was a
Yeah.
lot closer to 50-50
Yeah,
when
this is a weird game because I think this is like one of the first games where like I actually saw people leaving in the stands because we were gonna win, and they didn't feel like waiting out in the traffic. A
yeah.
lot of times, like if it's a good game or if you're about to win, it's usually on the last possession or two, so people are forced to stay. But like the fact that people were like basically leaving halfway through the fourth quarter just showed like how dominant it was. So like, and I think the last field goal, I don't even remember seeing the field goal because I was starting to get the stream and everything set up, and it's like I was like I couldn't believe we scored again because like
Yeah.
I think when we got the ball, it seemed like we were just running it. So they must have
Mhm.
hit another big play I missed, but just straight up dominance. I mean, just based off what I'm seeing, and there was definitely that scare when Browning got hurt because like, oh my god, another hand injury. But it looked like he had a cramp or something like that.
Yeah, they said
So,
a cramp, but I mean, it was a weird looking play.
but with him, I mean, we do look like a playoff team, and I think part of the reason why people were upset or had a bad feeling was that without Joe Burrow, we didn't know what kind of team we could be. And it's just like if you're not going to be competitive, then what's the point? You might as well go for that high draft pick or whatever.
Yeah, I just don't believe you can do that. I mean, there's
Well,
something wrong with that.
well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like there wasn't a thing that we could get. I mean, it sucks to do that if there's not really anything worth getting. Like if you don't really need a quarterback or something. But I mean, there's like a tight end that we can get, or like a really high quality offensive lineman would be worth getting if things weren't to work out. But nonetheless,
Yeah, I
one of
just
the
I
things
just feel
that
like you can't do that unless
you
you're
have a
gonna blow up the
chance,
team.
right? But that's the thing is that we truly do have a playoff team, and they're showing it. And it's like I could tell the people on the team like they want to make the playoffs, and it feels better now because now that we do make the playoffs, I think we can actually do something.
Mhm.
Is that to say we're going to win it all? No, but I feel like we could get streaky in the playoffs. I think we make at least past the first round or
I don't know.
something.
I mean, I'm still not convinced that they're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, I
I
mean you got
just
to make it
don't
first, but they look like a quality playoff team.
I
I mean,
just don't like the number of teams in our well, they haven't won a division game yet. And I don't like the number of teams
we'll have to win a
that
division game to make the playoffs for sure.
that are around the Bengals that um have already beaten the Bengals. Even though for some reason they said if the Texans lose, the Bengals have the tiebreaker on them, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's because there's multiple teams that would have the same record, and I think that's what kind of
Oh, so maybe
yeah,
the Bengals I don't
one way or another somehow. But I think if that happens, we get the seventh seed, so that may well the Texans would have the same record as us. So yeah, I don't know, but I did see that. I saw that the Texans have to lose, which looks like they're about to, or they may have lost already.
Mhm.
I think we needed to win, and I think someone else needed to lose, which it looked like the Ravens were about to lose, but they had the last possession, I think, and then the Browns look pretty decent actually. The Browns actually look decent with Flacco, so that I think the Browns are going to make the playoffs. I think they'll probably either be like the fifth or sixth seed,
Yeah.
and then I feel like there's like a handful of teams going for the last couple of seeds. But I mean, next week is kind of weird. It's the Vikings, I think we play,
Yeah.
which is another game I feel like we should win, but it's the NFL. You never really know. But I would just like to see him perform the way they did this week, where it's very limited errors. They look dominant throughout the whole match.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, for them, I mean, it's just crazy for me to think that they scored 34 points back to back. Like this is what you expect the offense to look like with Joe Burrow. But
Right.
I think there's also that element too when you have a really good player on your team, like a Joe Burrow or anyone equivalent. Like when they get hurt, it kind of elevates everyone else because they know they need to perform a little bit better, or it kind of makes them a little bit more. I don't know if it's like if you see a family member or something, you want to help him out type situation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I get what you're saying. I mean, and I don't disagree. I just feel like the play calling was so bad when Burrow was the quarterback. Like, I just felt like they would I mean, they were throwing it like 50 times a game, and then they tried that with Browning's first game where they had him throw it like 40 something times, and it's just like, that's just too many it's throwing it too much. You put and I think there's a direct correlation, direct link, causal element of the number of passes they throw and Burrow getting hurt, you know? I
Well,
just
yeah, I mean, you put him up more opportunity to get hit.
Yeah, more opportunity to get hit, and the defense just doesn't cover the run, and they just sell out to hit the quarterback every
I
play.
mean, I see what you're saying too, because it's like it'd be one thing if we had a top 5 offensive lineman or offensive line and you could depend on them to do all that pass blocking. But I think at times, like our offensive line have shown that they give me actually a pretty dominant um, run blocking team. So it's like, but I think that's why this injury might actually help out um, Zach Taylor in the long run, because it's like maybe with a Joe Burrow, he feels like he has to do more, and then he can realize he can just play more normal, if that, or like play more to like what we're actually capable of.
Yeah,
That in turn will actually give us more opportunities, and he'll get more pass opportunities that way. But it's like
you're right.
I
Yeah.
get it though, but it's just
Yeah, I
like
mean, for me, it's like, I just always felt that when Russell Wilson played for the Seahawks and they had those terrible offensive lines, I felt like they would run it almost, like, the vast majority of the time in the first, second, and third quarter to try to keep it close, and, if they fall behind a little bit, fine, and then in the fourth quarter, then you throw it all the time to try to win, right? But you don't get all those hits in the first, second quarter, you wait until the end of the game, and there's, like, 2 parts of it that appeals to me, right? Like, I feel like the defense is worn out if you ran it 30 times in the first 3 quarters. I feel like you've taken a little bit out of the steam out of the defense, and then 2, um you limit the actual times that you put the quarterback out there to get hit. So then when he's throwing it, you're at the point in the game where the defense isn't at its strongest, and your quarterback hasn't taken all those extra hits, and you just win ball games like that.
yeah, I feel like we have the right balance going on, and it's just like, and we're hitting more of those big plays too. Those big plays seem
Yeah,
to
I
be.
mean, it's just crazy to think of how they're scoring. I mean, remember how many games the Bengals would go with Joe Burrow and they wouldn't even score in the first half? And now they're scoring like on first drives all the time with you know
Well, I mean, hindsight is 2020. I would think like if you know everything that you know now about what's going on, you start Browning for the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Like you may even put Joe Burrow on IR to return, and you have Browning start the season, because I mean he's playing well. Because I kind of wanted to get into that, because like
Yeah,
the
that's a
thing
good
about the
thought.
Bengals, they have him for at least one more year, because like the way his contract is structured, and I guess the benefit of picking a guy that's a little bit more of a no name is that I think we can tender him for like almost less than 1 million for next year, and he's like ours. And if
Mhm.
someone signs him, then I think, or they can't sign him, or they have to give us a pretty significant pick. But
Well,
nonetheless,
the tender amount the amount you tender is directly determines the pick that the team has to give you to
I don't
take
think
him.
it's that situation. I think we're in a situation where if we just tender him, like there's nothing a team. I think it's was it restricted free agent where it's only
Mhm.
we can tender him. So it's like he can only get the best deal from us. But I think if he continues to play the way he's playing, then the Bengals are going to be forced to trade him. Because it's like, yeah, you want a reliable backup. I mean, every team wants that. But I mean, if you can get like a second round pick out of Browning, then why wouldn't you do that? Like that would be to me the most ideal thing that could possibly happen if we make
Mhm.
like with Burrow getting hurt and us making the playoffs, is that he balls out or continues to do what he's doing, and then it's going to be at the point where a team's going to be ridiculous enough to trade for him, and it's like that would be the best opportunity. But maybe even for the Bengals, just to hold him for one more year to have like a really reliable backup for $1 million is like you might as well just do
Well,
that.
yeah, you would have to tender him. I don't see why you wouldn't.
No, I
whatever
mean
the background.
they're going to do it, but I'm saying like it might get to the point where like because if you're not going to keep him long term because of how well he's going to play, because he's going to get to the point where you're going to have to pay him some serious money just to be a backup, which they're not going to do.
Mhm.
Then you might as well get a pick out of him, right? Because the way I feel like if he continues to do what he's doing right now, I mean, he's at least worth a second round pick, right? Especially if he gets a playoff win. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but if he does,
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're getting really far ahead of yourself. I mean,
but
you're
even for what
you're
he's doing right now, I know teams are pretty interested. Like it's because he's not like he's playing against playoff teams and he's doing really well, and it's just like it's really hard to find that in the NFL. Or teams are just they're always looking for the next quarterback, you know. So I don't know. It's a long shot, but for at the very least, I know he's going to get tendered because you're going to do that because at least for the Bengals, you're going to have a quality backup for at least one more year, and that's
Mhm.
something that they've always wanted with Joe Burrow. And I think it's kind of funny too, like how many people thought that the Bengals got it wrong, but really, I mean, obviously they got it right because now it's like,
got what wrong?
well, because remember the whole like, if Joe Burrow gets hurt, are we really going to rely on Browning, who hasn't like started an NFL game and's been on two different teams, and been in the league for several years and hasn't shown anything?
Mhm.
Like, there's some real concern, but then hindsight is just like clearly the Bengals saw what they needed to see, and they saw something special because it's like the throw that he's making is like what you would normally see from Burrow, and it's just like they're the same type of quarterback.
Stop.
Yes,
I don't think so.
I'm not saying he's a better quarterback, but he hasn't. There hasn't been an opportunity for him to make some crazy throw. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like all the throws he's making is like they're quality throws that Joe Burrow normally makes. So it's like what I'm saying is like you're not really losing anything. Yeah, you might be losing that special play where Joe Burrow extends the play and you find someone down the field. Like I get you're probably losing that.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think so. I don't think Browning is anywhere near as good as Burrow in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying you're not.
I feel like
games that
Browning
we've seen,
Browning
Joe
could make like I think he can make about 70 to 80% of the throws that Burrow makes. Not taking out like the ad lib improvisation
okay, well, I would say like
extended play.
85%. And the reason why it's so high because they generally make the right throws. Is the point I'm trying to make. They just
I don't think so. I mean, it's
they're
just like
taking what the defense is giving them. They're not
no,
yeah,
I
they
think
are.
that Browning misses a
Exactly
lot
how
of misses a lot of stuff. I
he
mean, there
misses
was
a lot of stuff. What has he missed?
there was a play where he
The dude,
in
he
the
threw
goal to go
275 yards.
in
What
the
did he
goal to
miss?
go in the goal to go situation, he had Mixon wide open in the flat, and he held it for like 2 beats too long, and then he had to try to run it down. He ran it to the left, like Mixon was wide open on the
That's
flat
more
on
of
the
a
right.
decision making thing. That's not like a throw you can't or cannot make.
Yeah,
That's
it is
the
because
point
you
I'm
don't
trying to
see
make
it.
is like,
You can't make it if you can't see it.
but he's made some really good throws though. That's the thing. Like that's
I'm
the
not
thing
saying
you're
he
not giving
hasn't
him
made
credit
any good
for. Like
throws. I'm
he's
just
made
saying
some
that
really good
he's
throws that
like
other starters in the NFL haven't even made.
what?
It's those touch throws. I'm telling you, like that's the thing that I was trying to tell you to begin with is that he's got the ability to put the ball where it needs to be. Like people get
Mhm.
too fixated about the people that look like that are 6'5" and 240 and like have the best arms. Like they're too focused on that rather than accuracy and timing and all that, which is
Yeah, I
really
think his timing is slow, and he doesn't see the field.
okay. But it doesn't take away the fact that like he's made some really good throws.
I'm not saying he hasn't made
Burrow
some really
esque
good
throws.
throws, but he's
So I'm
not
saying like
Burrow in any. No, not even close.
I have to say it's pretty close. I mean, I'm not saying Browning is going to be better than Burrow or is a better prospect. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, he's made some really good throws. I don't know how you could like discredit that.
I didn't say he did not make good throws. I'm just saying that he
Okay, but
is
then
like
you're putting words in my mouth because you're not. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
literally, the two games that we've just witnessed,
Mhm.
he's made Burrow like throws. Like there hasn't been a throw that he's made that I feel like I'm saying it backwards from what I'm originally saying. I'm not saying he's gonna out throw Burrow, but at the same time, he's making Burrow like throws. Like where it's going over the linebacker with the right enough touch to land in the right zone, or it's like he's throwing people open. Like it's more of a timing thing. And I think other NFL teams are gonna look at that because there's
I'm not
quarterbacks.
saying that if he continues to play this way, for sure, his value as an NFL player is going to go way up. But I mean, I guess you're kind of saying the same thing as me, right? You're saying somebody would offer a second round pick for him or something. I
I
mean,
think
we
if he
would
has it,
not.
if he does something, if we can make it to the playoffs and he shows what he's doing right now, I'm not saying he's got to like carry the team or anything, but if he has statistically a good game, there's going to be a team interested.
Yeah, okay, but say it continues, then Browning is. If you were Bengals, you would trade Browning. You just said, I think, for a second round pick, right?
I would even trade maybe even for a third round pick.
Okay. Now Burrow, would you trade him?
When I trade Burrow, no,
No. And
doesn't
then
make any sense.
if you were forced to trade him, you would expect to get what? At least like 3 first round picks?
Burrow,
Yeah.
okay,
So that's what I'm saying. Like
that's not the
they're just
situation that
night
we're
and
in.
day.
You're
No, I'm
talking
just
about
saying
something that's
night and day in
completely
terms of
different,
quality of player. I'm saying I
right?
think we're saying the same thing, but I don't feel comfortable using comparing Browning at all to Burrow because I don't think he's like uh
They're cut from the same cloth. Is the only thing I can say is that they're more of like high completion type quarterbacks. Like
okay. They both have accuracy as a strength of their game.
yeah, they're more analytical. It's more about like taking what the defense gives you instead of just like
Yeah, I
taking
just don't
stuff
see
that's
that.
not there.
I don't see that.
I don't know how you can. I mean, just the last 2 games should be more than enough evidence that he's reading the defense as well, that he's getting the ball to the right spots.
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
there's
man. I feel like maybe it's because I was at his first game, but like watching him, I just felt like he was just staring down the primary receiver, and then like he was always going with like where the first read was in the first game, and then the past few games you see it here and there where he like doesn't see guys streaking wide open.
yeah, but this is like his 3rd
I
game starting.
I
So like
acknowledge that. I might be unfair because I've seen his worst start live and he's only played 3 games, so maybe I'm not being fair. But
well, even the Bengals said like going back after their first start, it wasn't as bad as what they thought it was. I think if anything, it was just the play calling as a whole was abysmal because it's like,
yeah, the play calling was terrible. And again, at some points in the season,
well,
the
you got to
play
create.
calling is borderline malpractice because like they are putting the quarterbacks in harm's way by throwing the ball 50, 60 times a
Well,
game.
it's
It's
nice to actually see
absurd.
him score a lot of points without Joe Burrow because it's like it's proving that they are getting their money's worth for the offensive because they do have a lot of money in the line and
Yeah.
the receiver position. Like they have a lot of
Yeah.
capital over
But I
there. So
mean,
like,
it's like, yeah, the Lions going to play better if you give them a break here and there and run the ball, you know? I mean, it's hard to constantly, it's got to be hard on an offensive lineman to like every single play have to absorb pass rushers instead of like, you know, getting a break where like you have a run play where you get to be the one, you know, you get to be the hammer instead of the nail a few plays a game. You know, it just feel like everything is better because the offensive line is getting to exert its um, presence on people, lean on the defense a little bit, clean up some linebackers here and there, you know.
no, it definitely helps when you can run it and actually
Mhm.
be successful because I think that it doesn't allow the defense to tee off on certain things and they have to play a little bit more honest. But I don't know. It feels good. I mean, hopefully next week they continue to play like the way they're playing. They don't play down to their competition, and it'd be nice to see. I mean, I feel like it should be another game where they win by a possession or two, like 7 or 10 points.
Hmm.
I mean, is that actually going to happen? I don't know. The Vikings. I mean, they have Justin Jefferson, so they still have
Yeah,
that going for them.
you have to check out the predictions show on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, yeah. What was your score prediction? I can't even
I don't
remember.
know. I think I had the Bengals like 34. I might have had 35 for the Bengals.
I could have swore you had the Colts winning.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I got it almost exactly right. Let me look it up.
I think I said 24-17.
Yeah. Let me look up our predictions. I gotta figure out how to do it. Google.
I feel like you did like 28-21 Colts. Something crazy. But I mean, to be fair, the Colts are not like a bad team. Like I feel like they played a lot worse than what they really are. I mean, they were on a 4-game winning streak. I think a lot of those games they won really late, but this game, yeah, it just didn't feel like. I mean, maybe close to halftime, there might have been a moment where you're like, "Oh crap, the Colts could potentially."
Yeah, so you had the Bengals winning 24-21.
Oh, okay.
And I had the Bengals winning 34-17.
So you had the Colts 34-17.
No, I had the Bengals 34. I actually had the Colts 23-17.
23. Okay, so you had 23.
And I was doing so bad in the predictions that I thought that the Bengals were away.
Oh yeah.
So much for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good to be wrong sometimes. I mean,
I don't know. I feel a lot less pressure when I pick the other team to win and then the Bengals start winning. It feels good. I like being wrong.
yeah, I don't know. I try to go with my gut, but I know a lot of times I end up picking them anyways because I know they're good enough to win most games. But
Hmm.
um, I think as of late they're starting to show it. So this is a good time to get streaky.
Yeah.
And then, so I think we have Minnesota, and then I want to say I think the Steelers.
Mm.
I think it's Minnesota, Steelers, Chiefs, and then Browns. So I think we got a home, 2 away. Yeah, the Steelers and Chiefs games are gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, even with this team that we have now, I feel like we can beat the Chiefs.
Hmm.
Especially if the defense plays the way they played today. But I don't know. The Chiefs are starting to struggle. It feels like I think their issues at receivers are really starting to really cause problems for them. And then I don't know. I always thought their offensive line was a bit overrated. I think statistically they do better than the Bengals, but I think a lot of it has to do with Patrick Mahomes, like always constantly rolling out with pressure, getting the ball out.
Hmm.
But we'll see. I think it's going to be a much interesting game. Like I hope for the Chiefs they lose a little bit of interest since Bro's not playing, but I know for them they're going to want to beat us just because of all the success that we've had against them the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure. I don't think it's any particularly special game. I mean, for them, it's going to be just another game.
I think the weird part, I mean, especially if Baltimore loses, like the number 1 seed is like, I don't know. That's going to be another interesting thing. I think really the Dolphins probably have the best opportunity to get it.
Yeah, that's weird because I remember at the beginning of the year when I was talking about how the Bengals need that speed element from the running back, like the Dolphins. You were saying the Dolphins weren't that good, so glad to see you've come around.
Yeah, I mean they perform well, but let's see what they do in the playoffs. Regular season and playoffs are 2 different things.
Fair enough.
I think the knock on the Dolphins
Yeah,
is
but they
same
have
with,
the massive home field advantage.
who's that other team? Um, they just don't seem to do really that well against teams that actually are good. They tend to like run up the score on the bad teams, which is not necessarily a bad thing because you want to make bad teams look bad. But they also, I feel like they struggle against actually good teams. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see what they do in the playoffs. I know that's what really separates great teams from good teams is that playoffs is different. I think because everything's just so heightened and everything matters more because that could be your next last play or
Mhm.
whatever. But we'll see. I mean, I can't knock them for what they're doing. I mean, they have a really nice, high powered offense,
Mhm.
but I know the playoffs. But then again, I don't know. The AFC just seems really wide open. Like even it feels weird saying this, but even the Chiefs seemed like they took a step back one way or another. I mean, obviously they're playing better or doing better, or one of the teams that's doing better overall, but still, it doesn't seem like they're playing as good as what they could have been had they made the right, I guess, choices in the offseason or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's almost like, yeah, you can get away with like Travis Kelsey and doing a bunch of stuff with all different receivers, but I think at some point, like they got to find another Tyreek or like a true number one receiver. Because I think Kelsey's probably getting closer to retiring anyway, so like they may only have him for one more or two more years at the most. I'm
I don't
thinking,
know, man. I don't know about all that.
what do you mean?
I mean, who's the best tight end in the NFL right now?
I feel like I know Kelsey's up there, but I don't think he's number one. I wouldn't give him the number one right now. He's definitely top five. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like
but if you're comparing him to what he used to be, you can tell there's a decline. That's usually an indicator that, like, okay, once
I
it's in a
don't know.
lane,
I mean,
I think it's
how
gonna
can you say that he's declining if you just said that they don't have any other receivers? I mean, it's just
because I'm
his team
comparing
has
him to
gotten
himself.
worse. No, I'm
Like,
just
if
saying
I'm
his team
comparing
has
him
gotten
to like
worse.
just any Joe Schmo, then yeah,
No,
he's
no,
good.
but what I'm saying though is
But
you
if you
just said
force feed the ball to him,
his team got worse.
right?
So
Overall, his
so you're going to decline. It's going to look worse because there's nobody else to worry about, right? You're always the
no,
focus
he
of
looks
the.
worse because he's just getting older. Like he's just taking a lot of abuse to his body, and you can see it just on that last play where like can't believe how many people are crying for like passer interference when he got pushed barely in the back. He just looks so slow on that play. Like he was barely even jogging. I'm like, is this a live NFL game? Like that's just
I just don't think that's his game. He's never like he's a guy that like just knows how to get open.
no, I agree with it, but it's like he's also a guy that's taken a lot of abuse, so that it just
Yeah,
adds up.
yeah, but that's what I mean though. How many games has he missed?
Tread on
To
it.
me, it's just like if you're playing at a high level and you're healthy, I don't think anybody's gonna retire. It's like you don't start talking about retirement until people start missing like massive chunks of games because they're getting hurt all the time.
We'll see. I don't think it helps that he dates Taylor Swift either. So what
Whatever.
do you mean, whatever?
I mean, whatever.
It's a real life scenario. Like that's one of the things that people don't understand about football is that football
You
players,
really think they're dating?
yeah,
Oh, come
he's
on,
actually
dude.
pretty serious when he's like during his bye week, he's flying overseas to go to a concert. I think that's pretty serious.
Dude, it's a marketing stunt. It's a marketing stunt. It's all to sell more chunky soup, bro.
I think it's pretty serious. I mean, don't get me
No,
wrong. Like,
no.
I think there is a marketing aspect. Obviously,
So that's the whole point of it. Is it's all just a marketing thing.
nah. I think when he's like staying at her house in New York and flying
Who
across the
cares?
seas during like that's pretty serious. Well,
Nah.
in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care because it's their business. But
It's all about chunky soup.
because
It's all
the
about
Chiefs
chunky soup
are
and getting him Pfizer commercials and those
they're a
sorts of
pretty
things.
big competitor for the Bengals, and the only reason why I care is that I could see him being a step closer to retiring, just because football takes up a lot of time, a lot of your personal time, and if he's entering a new point of his life where he's dating a super like a world superstar, like I could see why he would want to retire and live that life a little bit, like
I
that
just don't
might
think
be
that's
appealing
how
to
it
him.
works.
What do you mean that's not how it works?
First of all,
That's part of the reason why
I'm
Tom
not
Brady had to
conce-
retire the first time is that he
I'm
wanted
not
to spend more time with his
conceding. I'm not conceding that they're dating. But if they were, I don't think it has anything to do with him wanting to retire. Because to me, his situation is probably ideal for someone who is touring.
No, it's not because
Why? Because they're both busy.
well, exactly, and
So
that's
if you're
why like
busy, it helps to have someone who's also busy.
right, but the thing is that he's been playing in the NFL for 12 years, and
Okay.
I think that that takes a lot of toll to you mentally and physically that like she's probably going to be doing that for the rest of her life, right? Like that's not going to change. The only thing that can change is
I disagree with that too.
what do you mean?
That like all like musicians' careers are like finite, like you have like one period of time where you're super famous, you're on top of the
What
world
are you
kind of
talking
thing.
about? Taylor Swift's been Taylor Swift for like the last 10 years.
I
Like,
know. I'm just saying it's finite. I'm just saying it's not going to be like that forever.
right. I mean,
Because usually
her
musicians have like
performing
this.
for the
They
rest of
have
her life
like.
versus him playing the football for the rest of his life is like
I'm just
obviously
saying.
he
No,
has
no,
more of a
no. What
chance.
I'm trying to say is that musicians. It's almost like musicians have two careers, right? They have the career when they first hit their first peak and they become like the peak of their popularity, right? And then at some point in time, that kind of wanes and that kind of ends, and then you wait 20 years for all the fans to grow up, have their kids move out, get
It's just
money
like in sync
again,
or
and then they pick up again. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
well, no, it's not because like she's a special type of talent because like even my kids like Taylor Swift for some reason. I don't even know how they like Taylor Swift, but for whatever reason, her music resonates with little kids always. So like her
Okay.
music will never get old. Like I think she's proven that she's
I'm not saying it's going to get old. I'm just saying that like she's not going to be like doing all these world tours like nonstop. At some point in time, it's going to end.
well at some point, but her touring will never end. I think she's
No,
at a
no,
point
that's what
where
I'm
she's
saying. It will
always
end.
no, no,
I think so. I
no,
think you
because there's
go
always at
through.
the very least she'll be in Vegas at the very least,
Well, that's not touring.
but it's performing.
I didn't say she wouldn't be performing. You're changing the argument.
We're arguing about two different things.
I guess I'm arguing about the words you said. Maybe you're arguing about something else that I don't know about.
Okay, but yeah, I don't know. Like it'd be one thing if you're actually talking about like a one hit wonder, but you're like the way you're talking about Taylor Swift. I don't even really care about her that
No,
much.
no, no. I'm not
I'm
saying
willing
she's a
to
one
admit
hit
that she's
wonder.
just a world pop star. So like
No,
her
I'm saying she's like
not touring
Madonna, right?
anytime
Like
soon.
remember Madonna from the
Her
you
making $1 billion off a tour is not just gonna slow down anytime soon. Like she's
yeah,
still
it does. Inevitably it does. It's just like the Rolling Stones or like Led
but they're
Zeppelin
still
or
touring.
like
What are you talking about? If they want to make music and sell out, they do it.
there's like a break
They're
between
like
like the
60
first
years
peak.
old, or no, they're probably older than that, right? They're in the 70s. Was Taylor Swift barely in her 30s? So she's still got 20 or 30 more years of like hardcore being
No,
on the road.
they don't do it like they used to though.
Nonetheless, her doing
I
that
think
is
it's
gonna
more
get out
like
longer in playing football. Like
I
I only see him playing maybe like it wouldn't surprise me if he retires after this year, but I think they'll be lucky if they get one more year out of him, just based off of like just watching him play and just like lugging around. Like it just doesn't like I could see his pain when he runs. Like it's just he just looks hurt all the time. I can't. And I'm not to saying like he can't produce because obviously if you throw him the ball, like he's gonna catch it, he's gonna do something with it. But it's just not the same, or at least from my perspective. And
I
him
don't know.
dating a world superstar doesn't help if he, especially if he,
Okay, so that's again, that's what so now we're back to that. I think that assuming that they're even dating, which I dispute, I think it's just a marketing stunt. Um, assuming they are dating, I think that his being a football player matches up good with what she does. I think if he was a baseball player, it'd be worse. But oh my gosh, you changing the screen as we go?
I
Nice.
just wanted to show a comment.
Oh, okay, cool. But him only playing one game a week. They play 17 weeks. He has a long off season. I just think that you want somebody that's busy. I feel like if you are someone who is super busy with touring, it helps to have someone who is also super busy but also wealthy enough that like they can kind of just
I get a
know.
sense that he also likes that lifestyle. Like, I think he likes the thought of being around celebrities and like A-list, whatever. Because that's, to me, it's like a completely different lifestyle, especially from an athlete. Like, I think you can be famous, but to be with like A-list celebrities is like completely different. Like, you're at the top of the top, right?
I
And
don't even know, man. I mean, part of me
I
feels
think
like
that lifestyle is a
athletes.
lot different, and I think that might appeal to him. And
I
there's like,
feel like athletes are more famous, or the most people. I feel like the most famous people in the world are athletes, not
not
actors or
necessarily NFL
musicians.
football players, though. I
No,
don't.
no, no, not NFL football players. I think it's like soccer players are
Yeah, I
probably
was
the
gonna
most
say
famous.
soccer, even like I heard.
Maybe
This great.
basketball.
Well, even like I would even say some tennis players
Yeah, tennis
or
players.
like the Grand Prix is like really big overseas too,
Yeah, yeah.
like race car
But I feel
drivers.
like soccer player. Like if you're the best soccer player in the world, I feel like you're probably also the most famous person in the world.
I don't know. I don't know. Being definitely helps being a soccer player, like an
I'm just
internet.
saying, like if
I can
you're
see that, but I don't know about a.
Ronaldo or Messi, I feel like those guys are more famous than anybody else. Like I feel like if you put them in any situation around the world, they're more likely to be recognized than like even like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for us to say because we're in sports, so we assume everyone like pays attention to sports. But I feel like there's also a really big population that don't really care about sports. That's like way into more like music and entertainment and that type of stuff.
Yeah, but if you're in the music, I feel like you don't necessarily know everybody in music. I think it's genre specific.
No, but when you're like at the top of the charts, then pretty much
That's
everyone
pop
listens to you.
music. I mean, just because you're in the music, you're not in the
Not
pop music,
necessarily
right?
always pop, but I'm just saying whoever the top artists are the ones that get all the plays because those are the ones
Yeah. See,
that are
I feel like
all the radio
it's
stations.
different. Like movies just don't feel like they're as. I mean, it could be because I don't watch movies and stuff, but I just feel like movies and music are more.
And I think that's why
Everything is more
it's
siloed, right?
exactly because we're more into sports. So we pay attention to more sports
No,
type
no, but
stuff.
I think everything is like siloed. Like it's like if you like music, you don't like all music. You like your singular type of music, and you never have to listen to
But that's
anything
the
but
same thing with
than what you
sports.
like.
You
Yes.
don't like
However,
watch every sport.
soccer is just so popular that I think that everybody watches soccer outside of the US. Like it's like by far the most popular thing to put eyeballs on is soccer.
Okay, but even that, right? You're still talking about like maybe a handful of soccer players that are probably that famous that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Hmm.
To whereas it's like there's probably hundreds of celebrities that are up at that status.
Well, like somewhere between the third most popular soccer player and the fourth most famous soccer player, there's like 100 entertainers between the,
Yeah,
if you rank everybody, maybe.
I'd say that's about right. But I mean, I agree. I mean, soccer on an international level is a lot different. Cause like maybe Tom Brady is pretty famous around the world because he's Tom Brady, but I don't
But
know.
see, I don't think so. I think you're right. The football NFL players aren't as famous
Right. That's what I'm
as
saying. Like a Travis
like,
Kelce dating like a
but
Taylor
like,
Swift is like
but
huge.
it's weird too, though, right? Oh yeah, it's huge for
I
him.
think, but
That's why it's such a
but
great
you kind of
marketing
have to be
stunt.
into that. Like you have to be in that lifestyle, and I think
That's
he
why
must
it's
be.
such
He's
a
doing it.
great marketing stunt. That's why
Why,
it's
what would he get
such
out
a
of it though?
that's what he gets out of it.
What money though?
From advertising,
From what?
from being in TV commercials, from selling chunky soup.
That's him winning Super Bowls. That has nothing to like. He was doing that before he dated Taylor Swift. Like, there's been no newer commercials I've seen for him, at least
He's
since he's
in
been dating Taylor Swift.
the Pfizer commercials new.
That came out before he was dating Taylor Swift. That was
There's like some TV one that he does now. Was it Direct TV or something?
I don't know. After they won that other Super Bowl, that him and Mahomes have been in a lot of commercials. But I
Yeah,
started seeing more Bengals.
State
Like I
Farm.
just saw Jamar Chase in a bed commercial, so that was nice to see.
Yeah, yeah. About time.
I saw Joe Burrow in that headphones. Is it Boost or Boss? I can't.
Bose.
Bose. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it'd be nice to see like a local company pick up some Bengals guys. You know.
Well, I feel like Skyline. Maybe well, I guess they
They
don't.
got Zach Taylor.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It was a good win. I hate to say it felt like an easy game, but I mean, it felt like we were pretty much control the whole time, except maybe after that pick six, it got a little concerning when they tied it, essentially.
It got
But
very concerning at that point.
right, but if you take that out and just look at it as a whole, like there wasn't pretty much Cincinnati controlled the whole game.
Well, it was because it happened at the end of the first half. So
Yeah.
from like what was it, like around the 2-minute warning through halftime, you were concerned, and then they came out and scored the touchdown. It's just like, oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
I remember thinking at halftime,
well,
like,
no,
oh, maybe people figured out the 3 or 4 plays they were doing to that Jake Browning likes, and they jumped that play, and then it was just like, no, that was just a bad play.
well, no, I mean the second half gave no doubts because like they were even more dominant in the second half. It felt like.
No, that's what I'm saying. But like the first drive in the second half, you felt like good. Oh, okay. Well, that was just a bad play. But up before the bad play, or no, before that first drive in the second half, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's over. Maybe people figured him out.
Yeah, I didn't think the pick was necessarily his fault. So like, it was more or less. I think it was just dumb luck, if anything.
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, it was to me, it looked like a bad throw, but maybe it was just like he thought he was going to run a different
it was only a
route or
bad throw in
something.
the sense that if he knew that he was going to do that, he shouldn't have thrown it to him, right? But he threw it. If you just watch the replay, he threw it in between the 3 defenders. It just almost looked like maybe the guy got out. Tanner Hudson maybe got out of his cut late or whatever because it was a
Well,
time.
that's what I mean.
He
That's
threw it in
the
the right
thing.
between all the defenders, but the fact that he stuck his palm out, basically held the ball up for enough time for the DB to kind of, or was it linebacker to come across and basically take it off like a handoff.
Mhm.
Like if he just knocked it down, it's an incomplete pass. But he threw it in the window. It was just it was definitely ahead of the receiver, but it to me, if anything, it looked like maybe he just got out of his break late. Cause like if you look at where the ball was, is in between all the defenders. So it was like seemed like he threw it at the right spot, but and really the only reason why he got picked off is because he kind of held the ball up. Like if it was just a normal, like if he didn't touch it at all, or if he just knocked it down, there would have been no chance for the DBs to actually catch it. So I don't know. It sucked because it's just like those plays tend to spark a team. They start to gain momentum off those type of plays. So because even right after that, they hit that 2-point conversion. I was like, crap. Now they're starting.
Yeah.
Because I think they missed a field goal and an extra point, and it was just like it didn't seem like they could do anything right. And then the drive that they did score the touchdown on was because of like that should have been another like one of those 3 and out type drives, but then we got that passer interference or roughing the passer call.
Mhm.
Extended the drive, and they ended up going down the field and scoring. But it was a good game, and hopefully they do this Saturday. I guess we play next Saturday.
Oh, we play on Saturday again?
Yeah, I want to say Saturday at 4. I think it's somewhat considered a primetime game.
Oh, okay.
We have 2 Saturday games in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, or no.
2 in a row?
I feel like that's right, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
All right, yeah. I'm good if you're good.
Yeah, can you play the outro thing?
Oh,
Can you do
yeah,
it?
yeah, I got you.